Hello again and welcome along for another episode of Manx Radio's newscast. And towards the end of this month, the Isle of Man will be represented at one of the world's most famous music festivals. Mae Challis has been invited to perform a 2-hour set each day of Glastonbury at the Tap House. Worthy Farm in Somerset is home to some of the most iconic music acts, with some independent artists being scouted by major record labels along the way. I caught up with Mae ahead of the festival. Let's start by going all the way back to the beginning, because you got a guitar when you were 4, and you said that no one would teach you and it was just your mum who would sit down with you for 10 minutes a day. Do you think that your mother thought that that would lead to you being invited to be part of one of the most famous festivals in the world?
I think she hoped it would, yeah. But it does seem a bit surreal that it is actually happening.
And talk to me about when you found out, because I mean, yes, there are lots of stages and there's lots of live music spots, but this is still Glastonbury. So it's in like a bar area, which, to be honest, I was absolutely thrilled when I found out, because my entire life I've been essentially a pub entertainer, so that's kind of where my comfort zone is anyway. So I'm actually quite thrilled it's not like a stage too big, because otherwise I'd be absolutely terrified. But I moved to the UK last July, not actually for music reasons, just for personal life reasons. And I've branched out into doing other things with my spare time. So like I am absolutely obsessed with racing supermoto now. So my life revolves around that. But so music is kind of more of like an on the side thing that I just do as and when, just because I enjoy it now, selfishly. So literally since I moved, I did one open mic night. And the guy that ran that open mic night then offered for me to do like a support slot for a band in like a jazz bar in Southampton. So I went, yeah, why not? And then the drummer of that band just so happened to run the bar in Glastonbury. So it was like I was auditioning for it without even really realising. We exchanged numbers, and about a month later, he just popped up out of nowhere and asked if I fancied it, which obviously I said yes to. And that is the thing about the music industry. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And the networking is such a key point of the music industry.
Absolutely. I honestly wish that I had moved years ago, when I was sort of I was going to say my heart was more in it. It's not that my heart isn't in it. There'll always be a very special place in my heart for music. It's just that it's not my entire life now. It's just a part of it, which I cherish a lot. And it's just absolutely insane that I've literally appeared twice in the last year in the UK and somehow managed to get a gig at Glastonbury out of the back of just 2 gigs, just for being in the right place with the right person there. So yeah.
And I just want to come and look at some of the music that you've released. And the thing which I think is the most remarkable is that it's so varied in the actual genres. I think you've previously described yourself as attitude pop. Is that still something that you'd class yourself as?
In all honesty, I don't think I would class myself as that anymore. I think I spent many, many years struggling to really know how to define myself, because it is something, if you try and make it in the industry, you have to know exactly who you are, exactly who you want to essentially sell yourself as. And now that I just do it because I want to, that's kind of changed for me. I would just call myself an acoustic singer-songwriter, entertainer. I mean, the thing that I've always loved the most is playing live and entertaining people. I've never really had that much interest in the recording side of things, which I think is probably partly why it is so varied, because I never really knew exactly what I wanted in that element. I just always wanted to entertain.
So do you have a favourite song out of all the releases you've got? Because, I mean, things like Headphones, personally, I would call that something like indie rock. You got Bad in Me, which is much heavier. Reminiscing, which is completely acoustic. I wrote Possible Influence, Birdie, and then obviously Black Kawasaki, which is very modern. Possible Influence, I want to say Mabel.
Yeah, you look better at the research than I am. I'm impressed. It's actually, it's kind of strange doing an interview, because I haven't done anything of the sort for quite a while, since I sort of relaxed on the music side of things. Musically, probably one of my favourite ones would be Bad in Me, and the likes of when I started to get a bit rockier. That is what I always wanted to do when I first came into it. I always saw myself as sort of a rock chick, rock singer, that sort of like rough around the edges element to it. But I was always sort of
I don't want to say pushed, but I was always encouraged to go more down a pop star, pop song singer kind of route. So I would say that Bad and Me, for the sound of it, is probably one of my favorites. But then at the same time, Reminiscing is a song that I did in lockdown, obviously after a breakup, and I did it completely off my own back. I wrote it on my own. I recorded it in the kitchen. The whistling solo is my brother. The piano is the piano in the kitchen with a little microphone. And the video was created with an old friend of mine, just the two of us, whilst social distancing, by the way, which made it very difficult. And so because it's that authentic, really real, no one else really had any influence in it, I love it for that. There's also a song on my YouTube channel, which is called, Bedpost, which my mum wrote, but I did the music to it. And again, we never really did anything production-wise with it. It was just one of them songs that was always in the list of the ones I would do live, but I always loved the lyrics and the feel of that song. And again, the fact that the video is literally just a camera I set up in a field and just sat there and sung the song for what it was. And I kind of love the rawness of that. So I love all of them for different reasons, but those are the ones that are up there, are kind of the ones that I wrote just with my mum or just on my own, that were never really played with much. And then the ones where I started to get a bit more of doing what I wanted to do.
You're playing the Tap House from 7 until 9 every day of Glastonbury Festival. So what can people expect from a set?
Basically, I would say if anyone on the island has seen me perform in the Ginger Hall, which is always one of my favourite venues, is that kind of vibe. So it's going to be songs that people want to hear with a Mae twist on them, along with as many original songs as I can still remember, because I feel that I owe it to myself to play the songs that I worked so hard on years ago.
And what is a Mae twist?
Well, it's going to be me and my acoustic guitar. So it's an acoustic version, but usually a Mae twist will be changing the melodies to somewhat or changing the feel of it. So I do, Ariana Grande's got a song called Thank You Next, and it's an incredibly poppy song, but I play it on almost like an offbeat version of it. So it changes the whole feel of the song, almost to the point where, do you ever hear a cover by, there's a band called Postmodern Jukebox, and it can take you the first minute of the song until you're like, oh, it's that song. And then it kind of makes it even better because you've had to figure it out. Also a lot of mix-ups as well. I've got one where I do, it's an Oasis song, and I basically mash it up with a Blondie song, which always takes people by surprise. And then there's also a Dua Lipa one, which I mix up with that Rhythm is a Dancer, which again, you wouldn't expect it, but it works so well. And just being loud and just being happy and just playing my guitar for all it's worth.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.